our children's hearts safe with you? And it starts with us. And probably we all have areas within this topic that we need to work on. So if you're thinking, oh no, I've blown it in that area, you're not alone. Like I said, we all have different aspects of this that we can get better in. And fortunately, as with Christ in our hearts, if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, then you have the Holy Spirit who guides us, who we can continuously come before and say, Lord, I need wisdom. I need wisdom in this situation. And he promises to give it abundantly. Have you ever been about to discipline your child? This has happened to me many times. And literally, like I've had them go sit somewhere and wait. And literally, as I'm going back there, I'm like, Lord, I had no idea how to handle this. None. And then you open the door to where they are, you go in, and you go, Lord, I still have no idea, and I'm about to be with that child. I have no idea. Should I do this? Should I do this? And wait on the Holy Spirit to guide. You go before them gently but firmly. But we have the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom, and we oftentimes don't ask Him. We lose it when the situation happens. Instead of coming up with a plan, a system in place in your home where you can be calm, give yourself some time, you have the child wait somewhere and not straining ahead because you, in a moment of non-conflict, you said, this is how we're going to handle things. Or this is, start young. And I'm teaching them, when I say go sit on the stool or go sit blah, 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 wherever your place is, then you role play that with them. And you say that this is where I want you to go. And when you go there, like predict, ladies, we all have different children. Anticipate what the negative reaction could be for the children in your home. Such as one might be a screamer, one might be a kicker, one might, be stubborn and say, no, I'm not going. So you role play those things within your teaching, and you say, no, you're not going to yell and scream. You're just going to go and sit and wait until I come in there. And that gives you a chance to cool off, to talk to the Lord, to get perspective, to remember this is a training opportunity to shape the heart, not to react, not to punish. That needs to take place, that they have consequences, but it's shaping of the heart is what training is about. Okay, so Lord, I just talk to Him all the time. Even if it's not out loud, you're talking to Him in your mind, communicating, praying with Him, and saying, okay, Lord, show me how to shape my child's heart in this situation. Remember a few weeks ago, I gave you handouts on put off, put on. Those are things to help you address the root of the problem, the heart. And so you want to focus on those things, okay? So that's just a little bit about, discipline process. We'll get into that more. So a peaceful home has a tone that is respectful and promotes unity. Respect in the family is really, really important. And we talked a little bit about this last week as well. We talked about how a fool shows his annoyance at once. Remember this? You remember the song? A fool shows his annoyance at once. But a wise man overlooks an offense. Was it offense? Defense? Okay, but it fit the tune. So we want to be wise, don't we? We want to teach our children how to overlook when they've been bothered, when they've been wrong, right? So that's part of the tone that we want in our house, is teaching our children how to resolve conflict. And it starts just like I'm talking about, starting with our hearts. We're wanting to shape our child's heart and mind to teach them to start with themselves, not blaming the brother. No, that's normal, okay? So that's part of the process. So you're wanting to teach them how to notice, how to observe the situation and notice their own sin and see patterns for sin nature in them. And that's what we want to train towards and teach them. So we'll go over that as well with a little process of how to teach them to recognize that and how to apologize so that they learn to own their part in it. But a peaceful home has that tone that is respectful and that promotes unity. So these are the things when your home does not have unity. These are important things to deal with, to put the child's squabbles and fighting and things over what you're doing. You understand that? This mothering thing is about continuously dying to self. It is exhausting and it's hard. But if we're doing something, we might be like watching TV, we might, right? We might be on our phone, we might be serving them by doing laundry, but they're fighting. If you want a peaceful home, what is going to have to begin to take precedence in your home? Dealing with the fighting. Because it's important enough for you to stop the world. Remember that phrase? It's a great one. Stop the world. It means stop everything and deal with the heart of your children. There was a time that I was going through the line at this time the church we were at had a big buffet line, so Wednesday night dinners, and I had 6 little children, and like here, and one of the kids started screaming, like it was the one in the what's that thing called?
Stroller.
Yes. Yes. Like, surely it's not the word stroller. Yes, it is. It's that hard for me. So it was in the stroller, and what part of the teaching is, you're teaching your children that the way to monitor their behavior is if it's respectful. And that is very disrespectful, isn't it? To me, but also to everybody around who's going through the line and doesn't really want to hear screaming, right? But if that's a habit, then that's something you train ahead before you go out. And when we go through the buffet line this time, here's how you're going to do this. And if you scream, this is what I'm going to do. Or if you complain about the food choice, or if you make these noises, or whatever it is, or insert what is the problem in your home, and I'll insert what's the problem in my home. And so anyway, this is what happened. She started screaming, and so the older ones knew the routine. I said, you go ahead and go through. And so here they are with their little things going through. I put my thing up on top and took her to the bathroom and got down on her level. And I said, her 45% chance. And she was in a stroller. That means 50%. What was it? And so, but I had to stop the world. Now, it would have been a lot more convenient for me to go through that line, right? But I was getting more and more frazzled. Can you relate to that? And knew I needed to stop it right then. So I had them keep going, and I put that up there. I stopped what was important at the moment to deal with something more important, which was my child respecting the people around her and being obedient and all that. So took her to the bathroom, got on her level, and said those kind of things. You know, that this is how we're going to go to the line. You know, waiting for her to calm down, talk to her like that, and made sure she understood until we go back out there. And she did what she was supposed to do. Now, I will say this during training times, like before you go to a restaurant, if you have children that don't know how to behave in a restaurant, they throw food, you leave a mess, they're not ready to go to the restaurant yet. But with a few simple lessons on teaching them at home before you go to the restaurant, they'll be great. You have to do your homework. You're trying to teach them how to be respectful, how to be calm in situations. Spend the time teaching them before you get there. So you teach them not to do that. But I do recall with some of my kids many times picking them up out of the high chair at a restaurant and taking them to the restroom and talking to them about whatever it was. You're not gonna throw your sippy cup. You're not gonna do this and that. Do you understand that? And we'll go back out there and doing it several times. But when you do that, if you do it when you're like, oh, who did you just make that whole scenario about? Me. Yeah. And that's wrong. I'm trying to train the heart of my kid, but meanwhile, I'm making sure everybody knows I'm frustrated. So do it without people noticing. They might notice. But you can pretend you're so calm like and then you get there and you just like you ever feel like that? Okay, me too. I feel like that too. Train ahead. Train ahead. Do y'all get that concept? Whatever it is that is in your home that is a pattern that's frazzling, that's exhausting to you, make it part of your morning devotion to have some verses that talk about that and teach at this calm level. Teach about it and throw in examples that aren't pointing fingers directly and embarrassing you and your kids, but they're examples that you draw them into that apply to their age, their ages, and beyond. Okay? Train ahead. Teach them how to be respectful of property, of restaurants, of the wait staff. Okay? Even now, at the ages of my kids, if they go, Mom, she's really a great waitress. I just, after they say that, they go, oh, I know, now I need to say it to them, right? If you think something nice, say it. If you hear something nice, pass it on. And so they'll, then when the waitress comes back over, if they don't remember to say, you are doing a great job, then I'll say, my daughter said something about you. Yes, I was just saying you have great people skills. That's the way we want to teach our kids to be able to freely communicate and give compliments that are sincere to people. Okay. Last time we talked about how to react to an accident. Remember that? How important it is that we're setting the tone. If something spills, we have simply said, that thing is more important than the relationships in the home and the tone in the home, right? Same thing about if they spill something in the car and we go crazy. What's the goal when an accident happens? We clean it up. That is correct. People over things. So let's talk about apologizing. I will be giving you this handout tonight. I guess we can go ahead and pass it around. I'll get it to you afterwards. How about that? Okay, thank you. Thank you for being a part of that decision. All right, so let's say we have, give me an example of something that happened in your home today with children bickering. Somebody probably has one, right? Okay, fighting over what specific toy?
Teeny Genie.
Oh, I don't know about Teeny Genie. Teeny Genie? Wow, okay, so if I do a hand motion like this, it's appropriate? Okay, like if you have a teeny genie, so, okay, it's teeny genie. Okay, so you've got two kids, two girls, daughters, fighting over teeny genies. That's like Legos in our home, fighting over it. And ladies, is that exhausting? Like it's happened 12 times today probably, right? And you are busy, and you've already dealt with it 5 of those 12 times. But it's more important if you want a peaceful home, one that your children are learning how to resolve conflict, learn how to place ownership on themselves. We have to spend the time doing the most important things. Okay, so you stop the world to deal with it and you call them both over and you talk with them. Or if it's, most of the time sometimes I'll talk to both of them, okay? But if it's a pattern, I will call one over. First of all, I'll train ahead to it when I see that it's a pattern. I'll make it part of devotion and all that kind of stuff. Or before I get the toys out, I'll say, when you play with that today, you need to remember to honor your sibling over yourself and let them have the doll that they that they want. So you train ahead right then. And if you're not kind to each other, then we're going to put them away, because you're not responsible enough to be able to play with them. People, relationships over things. But it's more important to teach them how to, not to always take their things away, right? So I would call one of them over and I'd talk to her on the stool or wherever. And because you want to discipline respectfully, right? And so I'd call her over and I would say,
these questions. I would say, this is on these sheets I'm going to give you. I would say, what did you do? Like, what happened? And then what did you do? And then this is what they'll usually say if you haven't taught them. So this is not a one-time thing. It's continuously, okay? Y'all want these right now, I see. Okay. Here we go. I need to keep one for me. Thank you. All right, so I would say, tell me what happened. And then I'd say, what did you do? And they're going to say, she took my toy. Do yours do that? I mean, that would be my experience, right? Okay. She took my toy, and then you're going to bring it back. You're not going to get frazzled, ladies. Don't get frazzled. This is part of the process. And again, you should train ahead on this whole process. Okay, but what did you do? And the goal of that question is for that child to own her part in the conflict. And so finally, after you keep saying, no, I'm going to talk to her separately. I'm going to talk to her the same way, but I want you to see what you did. And then, okay, so then she says, I took the teeny genie. I was going to say wobbly Barbie. I kind of rhyme, but teeny, what? Genie. I took her teeny genie. And okay, so that's what she did, right? And then I actually would not say the second question on here. Sometimes I do, depending on their age. But then I would say, was it right or wrong? Notice here it says, why was it wrong? I say, was it right or wrong? You're teaching them to evaluate their actions based on God's word of right or wrong. And the answer would be, it was wrong. And then why was it wrong? Because I was selfish. That's usually what it turns out to be. Or because I was angry. You get it? Okay, so then they own that. They're identifying the root of their behavior, being specific with the condition of their heart, and then how it hurt the other person. Okay? But you're training them to think like this. It's pretty good. I'm telling you, I have kids who are 17 up. I didn't say I have 17 children, in case. But 17 years and up, and they think like this now. They know how to evaluate what they've done even to me. Like, Mom, I know I was wrong, which is part of the apology. I know I was wrong for the way I talked with you. That was disrespectful. I know that hurt you. Will you forgive me? Don't you want kids that know to think like that rather than sorry? It can happen. It's part of a process. Be patient with them, but we must first behave like that in our homes too. Our kids can be fighting over beanie genies, teeny genies. They can be fighting over those, and then we yell. We've lost it. We yell at them and scream at them because we're sick of it, because you did it right. You did the discipline process right 12 times. And then you lose it. And guess what? That's what we own. We own the time that we didn't do it right. So then we would say to them, I know I was wrong for the way I handled that. I yelled at you, and that was very unkind. Will you forgive me? They still own their part, but you have to own your part too. Okay, the next part is really great. What will you do the next time? You're teaching them to think ahead, to be prepared for the next time a situation comes up where they want something the other person has. So don't give them the answers. At first, when you're training them, you are guiding them on how to answer these questions, but they will soon know how to answer them. So what will you do next time? I will share. I will let her have it first. She can have the beanie genie, teeny. Okay, so for that, the goal is to apply what was just learned to a like scenario needing the correct character qualities. And then, so you're talking to your child and you're not leaning down like this. You really want to be on their level. eye contact and soft eyes. You're not being angry and forceful with these questions. If you can't talk normally and gently, if your child flinches, then you have work to do, that they're scared of your behavior. Okay? And sometimes they should be. Oh, did I say that? Okay, I did not say that. So, but no, really, that their reactions shows us a lot about ourselves. Okay? So, on their level, kind and gentle but firm is, to whom do you need to apologize? Or you could say it the way we all feel like saying it. Who do you need to apologize to? You get the grammar? Okay. And that way they're knowing when they've wronged, then that's who they apologize to. Okay, so in that case, she needs to apologize to her sister. Okay, then, and you can do the same thing with the other one, right? And then the goal is to specifically identify those hurt by the words or actions. And when first learning this, have him tell you how she will apologize before he does so. So then you role play how to apologize, okay? Which is this. I know I was wrong for whatever it is. So you get that? You don't have to apologize this way. This is not biblical. Like, there's not like, I know I was wrong for, but our family has done that and it's been really neat. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to mix in opinion with scripture, but that's been a great way to teach our kids. I know I was wrong for taking the toy and being selfish. Will you forgive me? And then you teach the other child to say, yes, I will forgive you. Not, it's okay, but yes, I forgive you. Okay? And you're going to teach the other child the same thing. And then, so you want to make sure that apology is good, because when you're first teaching them, they're going to go, sorry. And you're going to say, no, you're going to say it like this. I know I was wrong for, and you tell them. You're teaching them, you're training them. And then you watch them go do it, right? And then you might have to, it's exhausting, ladies, but you might have to call them back over and say, no, that's not what we just talked about. And then you have them sit back down and wait. You talk to them again. And then they go back out and try it again. Okay? We are taking the time to train them. All right? Now, you want to tell them that you love them so that they know that. You're not angry. It's training the heart. The goal is to affirm your unconditional love. And you can hug them. And little tip I learned a long time ago, which has been really cool. When you hug your child, let them be the first to let go. Get it? It's kind of cool. Like, you're hugging them and you want to hug them real quick, but if they're still holding you, you just keep holding them until they release, and then you do. Isn't that cool? Try it. It's pretty neat. Now they know it. They're on to me now, so now they're like seeing who's going to pass the longest. Okay, now the next part on this piece of paper is really neat. You know how the Bible talks a lot about our body shows if we're rebellious? We have a stiff neck. We have tense shoulders. Yes, you can see it in us when we're rude to our spouses or rude to somebody. We're like, see that? Just, you're going to see it in yourself. Okay. It might not be super obvious, but you know it. You can feel it, but we can see it in our kids. Okay, now, what will you say when you apologize? That's not the look of success right there, that their heart has changed. The whole point of the restoration, the discipline process, is a restored heart, restored with Christ and restored within the home, the relationships within the home. This should be priority in your home. The sun should not go down upon anybody's wrath. And this is something to always stop the world about, to monitor, to keep this in check. Tonight, if there's a child that that you were ugly to today, make it right at home. Say, you know what, I know I was wrong for, and just tell them, I know I was so rude to you. Don't say, but you, okay? I know you feel like it, but wait on that part. Own what you did. Okay. So here's how you check to see if their heart is right. Okay. In the case of the teeny genies, so you've done this process with her calmly. She's going to go apologize. And you say, now, after you apologize to your sister, I want you to give her the toy. One command. When you give them one command, and I'm using the word command, but it doesn't mean command. You give them one step to do, you will see if their reaction is compliant, obedient, or if they're still rebellious. And if they are, they're not ready. So you let them sit longer. They're not obedient. They're not submissive. Okay? So the command should just make sense. In that case, the toy, or it could be even, I want you to hug your sister. Okay? Do you get it? Like, one command allows you to check on the heart and the condition of their heart. Don't be discouraged. I know we want to when it just doesn't work the first time. That means they need to sit a little longer, and we need to keep at it. Just like God keeps at us saying, Rhonda, you were disrespectful to your husband again. Oh, it's not. Y'all ever talk to God like that? Seriously, you want me to do that? Well, he just did that. Look, see, my neck is like stiff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but no, Rhonda, you're to be kind. You're to be kind. And okay. And he lovingly keeps doing that with us, and we need to do with our children like that. So, okay. And on here is the way to apologize as well. Our goal is obedience right away, all the way, and with a cheerful heart. Who does that right away? That's hard. It's a work in progress, and obviously we need it from time to time too. The discipline process is successful when hearts are yielded and hearts are restored. So you probably can see work to be done in your home. Is that correct? And it's going to be ongoing. So just embrace it, because we're all sinners. I mean, have y'all hurt anyone in your home this week? Today? Me too. And I'm teaching these classes. So I'm just saying, it's all of us. None of us are above needing Christ and above being the ones responsible for upsetting the tone in our home. So we need to do the right thing. All right. So I hope that's very helpful. I want to give a shout out to Kelsey, my daughter, who's living in Washington now. She's a graphic designer and things like that with a church there. She just moved there like 3 weeks ago, but she did this for me. So isn't that nice? It looks all professional. Thank you, Kelsey. All right, so we talked about restoration of the heart and apologizing. Now let's talk some about how a peaceful home is one where it's safe for all members. A peaceful home includes it being safe, okay? So here's some things. I want you, again, think about just you, not this person or anybody in the room. Just between you and the Lord. Examine your heart. Do you allow name calling in your home? Belittling? Kids being laughed at? Siblings making fun of the other? Do you allow harshness? Do you allow bullying? Is a child made fun of for something that's difficult for that child, such as they can't say the R sound, or they're a bedwetter? Do you do any of that? When a child wets a bed and it's the seventh day straight in a row, and it's so exhausting and frustrating. Have you embarrassed that child in front of your family? Have you hurt the heart of your child? Well, we all have hurt our children, but what do? We need to be quick about this restoration process and apologize to that child and not repeat that hurtful, painful way that we treat them. Our homes need to be a place where children are safe to make mistakes and safe to have issues that you have as you're growing up, like a learning difficulty. Now, we had a bedwetter in our home, and I had that struggle, and so I was familiar with it. And I remember watching the after school special. Do y'all remember those TV shows? And I remember like the mom putting clothes out on the balcony and the mattress being outside, and it was horrifying to me to think people would know that about. And so anyway, I'm particularly sensitive to kids being made fun of in that area. Well, in our home, the children knew that this was an issue with a child, and it should be safe in our walls. Our children should know they do not talk about our family in a negative way outside of the home, in a way that could hurt. Safe. And so you teach your children that's okay. That's something that we're walking through. They don't make fun of, and it's private. I'll tell you something that happened as a result of this. That same daughter that made this sheet, she was at camp as a middle schooler, and I was teaching a class just like this, the whole different group of ladies here. And I was talking about bedwetting, and this lady raised her hand, and she said, I just want to tell you something. My daughter was roommates with your daughter, along with 12 other people, at camp. And she said, my daughter wet the bed at camp. You imagine that? How humiliating, embarrassing that can be? And she said, your daughter helped her clean everything up and never told anybody about it. Like, never told any of the students, the children, about it. I didn't even know it until that night. When you teach your children how to be tender-hearted towards problems people have, they learn to repeat that behavior. And if they haven't from time to time, that is important for us to stop the world and deal with it and say, do you realize how hurtful that was? And we teach our children how to see through the eyes of another person, especially today when it's so self-centered. Is this a super self-centered time to be raising children? Even if we're trying our best, it is very difficult. The society dictates it, doesn't it? It's very difficult. And so we have to continuously be aware of teaching our kids to have perspective, and us too, we're in this age too, for the other people. Eyes of Christ, but seeing somebody's situation through their eyes. It never are they allowed to make fun of kids. But instead, seeing through their eyes is, what can I do to help? How can I be that person's close friend to be a buffer? How can I help peers see differently about that child? It may be time for some of you, as it was for me, and from time to time is for me, to go before a child and say, how have I hurt you? Or if God reveals a specific thing, it is time to go to that child and say, I realized 5 years ago, last week, 10 years ago, when you were 5, whatever it is, I realize I hurt you deeply by the way I reacted, by this, by that. Do you know years of pain can be taken away when someone apologizes with sincerity? We need to be on that end of being sensitive to apologizing and looking for ways we've hurt and own it. But in our homes today, when we've hurt, we need to make it right. This is Alexis. She lives in California. So I'm doing a really good job having my children be close to me. Yes. Why are y'all here? They moved far away from her. But Alexis is 26 now. When she was probably in elementary school, maybe middle school, I asked her if there was anything that I did that hurt her, or anything in the home that took place that hurt her. This is a good idea to do with all your kids from time to time. And she said, yes, when you sing that song, Never, Never Flip Out, that hurts me really badly. And we did. She was the kind that would like, ah! So we had a little tune. I'm going to sing it because it was really catchy. But it crushed her. It went like this. Never, never, never flip out. Woo! Never, never, never flip out. Isn't that rude? We did it to be like funny, like not to be mean. And it didn't seem like the kids were doing it to be mean, or I wouldn't have let them do that. But it hurt her. That was the last time anybody, not that they didn't do it again, I don't even remember, but it was the last time they did it without being corrected. Did I say that right? Because it became important. Once I knew how I was crushing my child's heart, I needed to deal with it, starting with me. Is there something in your home that you've allowed, making fun of, belittling, that your child doesn't think is funny? A way you've let an older sibling make fun of a younger one? A way this one teases this one? No, our hearts, each family member should feel safe. Safe to grow, safe to learn, safe to make mistakes, because we're gently teaching them. That's something to ask the Lord. Another thing about hearts being safe, Heather is now 17, and Heather, this is years ago, her friend was moving away. A very good friend of hers was, where did she move to? Iowa. And I was driving with some of my kids. Were homeschooling at the time. We were going to a field trip. All of a sudden, she burst into tears in the back seat, like big tears. Like I was literally thinking, I know people over things, but we need to get to that field trip. People over things, people over things. Have you ever done that? And I pulled over the van. Well, I knew at that time because she was like, I said, what's wrong? And she said, Kendall's moving away. Kendall's moving. And she was so brokenhearted over it. If I see through her eyes, I feel the pain. Mourn with those who mourn. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Even though she was how old? How old were you then? What grade? 7th grade? So that's older, right? But she was crying. And so I pulled the car over and got in the back seat and just held her. Do you have times that you need to just stop and mourn with your child? If you haven't yet, you will. Be sensitive to what they're going through, and then coach them in the right direction. You may have a child that cries all the time, and it's a little different training for that child. It's training her how to trust God and training her on emotions and things like that. But with the Holy Spirit, I was talking to him and I was saying, should I pull over? Should I get a field trip? And he's like, stop. You're going to be teaching on stop the world and do it. Stop the van. There's a blog post I did called Stop the Van. Like, stop the world, get it? Okay. Our goal, one goal that we should have in parenting is to have more influence on our kids than their peers do. That is difficult. It takes knowing who they're hanging with, being involved in their lives. Think about that. It's hard. When your home is safe, that really helps. That really helps with that. On your children allowing influence, allowing your input, sharing with you things going on, instead of always running to their peers, trusting their peers, and a lot of times getting childlike wisdom, which isn't wisdom, right? Childlike direction. They can get good influence from friends too, right? So I know that. But we want to make sure we have more influence than the peers do. A couple things about when your kids have friends over. So let's say you have multiple ages of children and you're trying to teach your children how to be respectful. One thing that we would, this is not like a verse, what I'm about to tell you is kind of silly, but when we would have like our older kids' friends over, we wanted them to always be able to be around all ages. But we would tell our little ones, we would train ahead and say, when they have their friends over, you can be in there with them, but you don't try to get the attention. So you're teaching them ahead of time. Don't interrupt. Be quiet. Be on the quieter end of things. And as a mom, wanting to be respectful for my older kids, if I see the child's not, if the child is being a bother, then I want to say, hey, Heather, hey, Laura, come in here. And then I redirect them to something else, telling them if you're one-upping or you're trying to get attention or whatever, so that they know why. And then you can send them back in if they understand it, okay? But you're teaching them ahead how to interact with those in their family politely and respectfully. But here's the thing that I would tell the little ones. If you want to play with the big kids, you have to act like a big kid. A big kid can play on their level, right? They don't have to try to win, like get the attention from, like if they're playing cards, they don't have to take their cards and be silly and stuff like that. You understand? Okay, just wanted to throw that out there. Another thing that shouldn't be happening in your home is if one of your kids has friends over, there should not be a time where your child and their friends are running and hiding to be mean to the other siblings. Now, if they're playing hide and go seek, that's how you do that, you understand? But you train ahead. If that happens in your home where they're mean and they like, leave me alone and that kind of thing, and they slam doors and they're just rude, train ahead before they come over. Yes, you can have the friends over, but we're going to do it differently this time. You need to include your sister in it. She needs to at least be able to be with your friends. And you train towards like what you predict the behavior would be so that all hearts are safe at home. Again, there are times when they don't need to always be with, the younger ones don't always need to be with the older ones, okay? But you want them to not think of them as a bother. But the little ones need to not be a bother, all right? We're going to end with this particular thing. Heather, will you come in here, please? Poor thing. Aren't y'all glad y'all aren't my children? last time we talked, and we did tonight too, about the importance. Come up here. We talked about the importance of kind words and building up how our words, death and life, are in the power of the tongue, right? Yes, I do, right there. Death and life are in the power of a tongue. We want our tongues to be used to build up, to breathe life. So one of the things that we do, I hope this will impact y'all. How many of you have seen this before? Did it impact you? I hope this will have significant impact on your life for a vision cast before you of the way you interact and talk within your home, like it was done for me years ago. When I saw this done, I saw the way siblings could talk with each other and freely say nice things about each other. And I thought, that's what I want in my home, for us to easily say that, not to always be sarcastic and, things like that, but to be able to see the good things in each other. By the way, that's another role we have. Words should flow from our lips that are accurate representations of the good qualities that our kids have and that our spouse has, because what you'll hear the kids repeat is the good things that you've told them about each other, right? So, anyway, this is a special plate. You do not have to have this particular plate to do it, but you can order this on Amazon, okay? It's the special plate. And what we do is, when it's a special occasion to celebrate, it could be a birthday, an anniversary, that child just needs encouragement today, the child or the adult gets this for their dinner plate, and they set it down before them, and we talk at the table and whatnot. And then we go, it's special plate time, and we go around the table, and each person says something that they appreciate, admire, love about that person. Now, when your children are very little, you're going to help them you're going to train ahead. Just throw it out there. You go, we're going to be doing something called special plate, because maybe your family doesn't know how to talk like this, but you're going to reshape, right? You're going to create an environment in your home where hearts are safe, where words are kind and encouragement, they're built up. And so you're going to have to train to the things happen in your home. We're not going to be sarcastic. It's not a time to joke around, although funny things might happen during it. But I want y'all to think about things you admire in this person, and you give them examples. Okay, but you train ahead so that they do this in the intended way that you want it to be in your home. Okay, do y'all understand that? So I texted my kids out of town, and they're all involved in something right now. I was going to FaceTime them so you could see them over the phone, but it's just you and I, honey. So, don't you think Heather should tell me? Don't you think? Or do you think I should do it to her?
Heather should do it.
Ah. Would you be willing to do that? Yeah. Step over here. Here, wait, let me give her my list. Now, these 45 things just came off just to me right away. Okay. So can y'all see? Okay. Look at the eyes. That's something you're trying to teach your children too. Look at your brother's eyes. When they're very little, you just whisper in their ear some things. And they go, "'Cause I love you." See, you're training them all the way up. Got it? Don't wait till they're a certain age. Teach them now. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
A little bit awkward, but go ahead. Okay, this is for a vision being cast before y'all, okay? I want you to see how easy it is. Is it?
Okay, so I would say, Mom, you're special to me because today is your birthday or something.
Okay.
And you mean a lot to me, and you are very trustworthy, and I tell you everything basically, and I know that when I tell you something, it's just between us, and you give great advice, and you're a great mother,
Mama lied.
You and Dad are great examples to me and to all the siblings. And you are very hospitable and loving. And do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, oh, yes. Wait, you missed this page.
And beautiful.
That's good. That's fun. Oh, we'll stop there. Thank you. Love you.
My turn.
Wait, hold on. I'll do you. I'll show them. Is that sweet though? And you want to teach your children how to be specific, not just you are special today because it's your birthday. Within our dynamic, no, that's good to start like that, and you did. You start like that, but I want y'all to think: what things do your children think about each other? Maybe it's time to help them see some positive things in their chemistry, in their in their personality, in the way they do life, instead of all the little paper trimmings when they do craft works and they're everywhere and you're like so frustrated by it. Why not see through the eyes of that child and think, you're so creative, their mind's always working. When you begin to say things like that in your home, the siblings see that. They see the way you've taught them to see each other. Now, what's the goal for that? To clean up their mess, okay? But you understand about little paper trimmings, right? Okay. So, Heather, you are special today. Every day, but it's a special plate, you know. You are so special, and I'm very thankful for really your friendship. You've moved from so many spankings when you were little and exhausting to being a joy and a friend, moving into that category with you, and I trust you. And I'm so grateful to have that relationship with you like that. I appreciate you picking out my outfit tonight. Yes, amen. Thank you very much for helping me with that and teaching me about what is cool as far as words these days and helping me know that was so last year. See, important. I see that you have a tender heart for other people and for the underdog, and it's important that you stand up for people, and I admire that. I know it's a great quality, and I love how you're fun, and I admire how you're very athletic. So I'm very proud of you, and I love how you're loving to be in the Word and grow spiritually. That makes me the most excited of all. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Y'all get what I did there? Okay.
What's that?
Did you miss that part of the lesson? You released first. You get it? You get that? Okay. All right. Well, our time is over for today. Thank you very much, Heather, for being willing to do that. So tonight we have talked about the tone in the home and how to have hearts safe. And it starts with us. But really, each person should be thinking it starts with them, right? But because we're here and we're the mom figure in the home, we have so much input into that. Do y'all have work to do in that area? So do I. We talked about how one way the special plate can be used as a tool to teach our children to speak words of life into each other, to build up their father. We've talked about the importance of us having eyes to see all the great qualities in our kids and speaking of them. Speak about them within the home so that they begin to see each other in these lights. It's not like we don't also see the negative. We are working with sin natures and things like that, but we want them to see this child is beautifully created like this, and this one like this, and this one like that, and how we all need each other and love each other. We talked about the restoration process, apologizing, and basically a part of the peaceful home is where hearts are safe.